Hey guys, it's July the 5th, 2024, and I hope everybody had a safe, sober July the 4th yesterday. Man, yesterday was interesting. So I wasn't expecting to be talking about this today, but I actually had another topic in mind, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about what happened last night to me, and it involves alcohol. So yesterday afternoon, we weren't planning on doing anything. Actually, we were planning on just staying home last night because, we have so many animals out here, and the fireworks really get the animals worked up, especially our dogs and our horses. So we were just planning on staying home and not going anywhere. But I got a phone call from a really good friend of mine that I haven't seen in a couple years, and he actually used to be one of my old neighbors. My kids grew up with his kids. We've known them for like 20 years, and I've seen him since I got sick, but I haven't seen him that much. He came over and saw me once or twice, and we just haven't seen each other that much. And when he called me yesterday and said, "Hey, we're gonna go see the fireworks. Would you guys like to come join us?" I said, "Yeah, sure. We'd love to come see you guys." And like I said, I'm really not that big into fireworks anyway, but it was more or less to go see our friends that we haven't seen in a long time. And so we decided to go meet up with them. And so we go to, they have a big fireworks show here where I live. And it's basically a neighborhood that puts the fireworks on, but there's another place that you can park. And I don't know how many people were there last night. I would imagine a couple thousand people were at this place, but in the neighborhood where they do the big fireworks show, there's like another, it's kind of like a neighborhood, but what they have is like, it's a bunch of stores. It's like a little small village is basically what it is. They've got a bunch of little stores, and it's I wouldn't say it's a retirement community, but it kind of is. There's a bunch of houses, and then there's like a little town in the center of it. It's like a town inside of a town. And there's tons of parking out there, and everybody goes and parks there to see those fireworks inside of this private neighborhood that's right behind that neighborhood. And we drove around looking for a place to park when we first got there. I had the hardest time finding somewhere because we didn't get there until kind of late, like right before the fireworks show started. We got there like an hour beforehand, and I looked around, finally found a parking place all the way in the back of this place. And when we finally got to the place where I parked at, I realized that where we were at was actually right up against where they shoot those fireworks off. So I thought, this is going to be a really cool place. We're going to be able to see the fireworks, yada, yada. And my buddy shows up. We all hang out. We watch the fireworks show. I don't remember what time it was. It was probably 10:30 or something like that when we finally got out of there. And when it's time to go, everybody goes to leave at the same time. So as soon as like the last fireworks started going off, and you can tell when it's happening because they start shooting all the fireworks off at the same time. And I told my wife, I said, "Hey, this is about to end. Let's go ahead and get out of here so that we can leave and beat this traffic before everybody piles up to get out of here." And my wife's like, "Okay, let's go." And I told my buddy, because he asked me if we wanted to come over to his house, and they used to be our neighbors, and they have a new house now, which we've never seen. He asked us if we wanted to come over there and check it out, and I said, sure. And he's got a swimming pool and stuff like that, and I figured my kids could swim for a minute while we go check it out. And so we told him, we'll meet you over at your place. He gave me the address, and I jumped in the van and we left. Well, I got onto the main drive, and when we got onto the main drive, that like traffic just stopped. It was not moving. We sat there for probably almost an hour with traffic not doing anything, and I couldn't see it. And ahead of me there was a big like a big Suburban that was in front of me, so I couldn't see around them. I couldn't see what was going on in front. I had no idea. I still don't know why traffic was held up the way it was. I don't know if somebody broke down or if they were letting out all the other cars before us. I'm not really sure what happened, but we waited for a very, very, very long time. And the car that was in front of me, every time that we would get up to another intersection, they just kept letting cars go in front of us. And yeah, it's proper etiquette to let a couple people go in front of you, or one or two people go in front of you. And which we did. You know, every time we get up to an intersection, somebody would go in front. But as we started getting towards the end of the road, we were actually probably about halfway. The cars, because everybody had been waiting so long, the cars actually, when we finally got to the next intersection, the cars started easing in on both sides of me, and they were getting up to where they were like pushing their way in front. And, you know, the thing is, I had the right of way, and my blood sugar had dropped. I hadn't really eaten anything all day long. All I'd had is a couple protein shakes. It's super late at night. My blood sugar was really low, and I needed to go to get something to eat. I didn't have anything to eat on me. All I had was some glucose tablets, and I didn't want to take those. And these cars are trying to push their way in. I'm like, okay, well, we've already let so many cars in. And the car in front of me had let, like, probably 50 cars in at this point from each intersection we had gotten to. And I'd let people in front of me as well. And we finally got up to this next intersection, and this guy on the left hand and the person on the right hand side kept easing in on me like this. And I'm like, I've got to go. Like, I can't let anybody else go. I need to leave. And the guy that was to my left kept easing in, and he was right up on the front of my car, like right like this. And the guy started laying in on his horn on me because I just pulled up. I'm like, somebody behind me can let this guy go. I need to leave. And like I said, it's not like we hadn't let people in before us. Tons of people got let in. It's like at some point you have to make a decision. Okay, I need to go. They can get their next turn. I mean, it's not like I was just being rude or anything like that. And as I was trying to go, that guy kept trying to get in front of me. I pulled up. I didn't let him get in front. And he started laying in on the horn on me. And I was like, you know, whatever. I'm not going to pay any attention to that. And then the guy started screaming at me. And I had the window down. So the guy's yelling at me and told me, you know, I don't have any driving etiquette and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, whatever. You know, I didn't say anything to the guy. And he kept screaming. And then he pulled in. Like, he got the car that was behind me, let him in. So he got in. And when he got behind me, the guy decided that he wanted to be a jerk and turned his bright lights on. And I was like, really? You know, like, why are you doing this? I just don't understand why you're making this big deal about this. And that's the thing. It's like, you never know what might be going on in somebody else's life. And, you know, the thing is, the guy decided just to start calling me all kinds of names, you know, an a-hole and all kinds of stuff, and telling me that I was a jerk and I was rude and I didn't have any proper driving etiquette and all this kind of stuff. And he didn't take the time to think, you know, maybe this guy might have something going on. And I did. My blood sugar was like 80, and I needed to get something to eat, and I just needed to go. And if I kept letting people cut in front of me, I was never going to get out of there. We'd already been waiting for a very long time. I did not expect to be at this place as long as we were. All I brought with me is something to drink. And like I said, I had some glucose tablets with me, but I don't like taking those unless it's like a really big emergency, because it's sugar. And I just wanted to actually get like something real to eat. And, you know, that's the thing, is that he didn't think about what might be going on with me. He just started screaming at me, accusing me of all kinds of things, and then got behind me, turned on his bright lights, and continued to stay on the tail of my car the whole time. Well, we got up to another intersection, and I heard this noise, and it sounded like somebody popped the back of my van. And I was thinking that somebody that was walking, because there were people walking all over the place out there, and I thought it was somebody that was walking behind my van that had, like, popped the back of my van on the trunk or something like that. And I looked at my wife, and she goes, I heard that too. And I said, yeah, what is that? And then I heard it again. Well, then I realized that the guy behind me had bumped his car into the bumper of my van. So at this point, I stopped, and then I started getting out of the car, because I was going to, you know, say something to this guy, like, hey, man, like, I'm about to call the police. And my wife started screaming at me, get back in the car, because that guy, when I opened up the door, he opened his door and got out, and I'm like, this shouldn't have turned out like this. And the thing is that he decided to bump into my bumper. You know, like, he took it too far at that point. And, you know, like I said, the guy started going crazy behind me, and he had a couple other people in the vehicle with him as well. And it was just me and my family. And I wasn't trying to get in a fight with this guy or anything, but once he hit my car, I'm like, I need to look and see if he caused any damage. And if that's the case, then we're going to have to call the police because I'm going to have to file a report. Well, I got out. He starts to get out of his car. I take a look at the back of my car. There's no damage. And I'm like, and my wife's screaming, get back in the car, get back in the car. And I was like, okay, I'm getting back in the car and we're getting out of here. So I get back in the van and proceeded just to say the heck with it. I'm not going to have any more problems. And we left. And we finally got out of there. And we went on down the road. Well, I needed to stop and grab a bite to eat before we went to my buddy's house. I didn't want to go over there and ask him for something to eat. I just wanted to run to the gas station and grab like a little sandwich or something. Well, here's the funny part. So we pull into the gas station, and I actually went around, so that like I went way around to another gas station. I could have stopped at the one that was right there by the fireworks place, but I was like, I'm not gonna stop there in case that guy stops there and then I have another issue. I'm gonna stop at the gas station that's right by my buddy's house. So I drove all the way over close to his place and stopped at the gas station right in front of his neighborhood. And as I was starting to get out of the van, I looked at my wife. I said, how crazy would that be if that guy pulled up right here right now? And my wife told me, she goes, don't jinx us like that. And I am not kidding you guys. As soon as I stepped out of the van, and when I was saying, because I was reaching to grab my wallet out of the center console of the van, as I was telling her that, when I stood up to turn around, guess who pulled into the parking spot right beside me? It was that guy. So I turn around, I look, and I kind of put my head back in the van. I said, look right behind me right now. And my wife looked over, she goes, get back in the van. Like, we do not need to be here. And I was like, you know what, you're right. So, because as that guy pulled up, like him and two other people are getting out of his car, and they're staring at me. So I just got back in my car and left, and drove down the road and went to another gas station before we went to my buddy's house. But the thing is that the guy, I could tell, especially when he was walking into the gas station, because I sat there for a second as he was walking in, and I just wanted to see if he looked like he was intoxicated or something. He was. The guy was stumbling. He was shaking really bad. I don't know what that was about. I don't know if he was scared or if he just shakes naturally or what. But he was shaking as he was walking. He was stumbling around. You could tell he was having a hard time walking. The guy was obviously intoxicated. And I saw a lot of people intoxicated last night. There were so many drunk people at that place last night. And I had a feeling there were going to be people there drinking. That's why I don't like going to those types of things very often. But like I said, it was an old friend of mine. We were all the way in the back. I didn't think we were going to have any problems. And at one point, I went to, they had like a slushy, they had a whole bunch of food trucks and stuff out there, and we went to go walk up to get my kids slushies. And as we were walking up to the slushies, it was a decent little walk, probably about half a mile to get to that area. As we were walking there, we walked up, and there's like a big thing of these like mailboxes, and my wife had this really weird look on her face, and I said, what's wrong? And she said, you didn't see that guy right there? And I said, no, I didn't see him. She goes, he just walked right there back behind those mailboxes. And I said, okay, well, what's the problem? She goes, he's very, very intoxicated, like can't walk. And as we walked past, I looked back, and the guy was like on his hands and knees on the ground, like crawling. He was so intoxicated. I don't know what happened to that guy, but there were a lot of police officers out there last night. I'm sure he probably ended up getting public intoxication. I would only imagine, because where he was at, there were police officers right there. But as the night went on, I saw more and more intoxicated people, and it just really got me to thinking last night, like, because some of the people that I saw, like, I was watching them talk, and like I saw this one woman that was talking that was clearly drunk. And she was talking to someone, and as she was speaking to them, she was looking completely off into this direction. The person that she was speaking to was directly in front of her, but her eyes were shifted off over here while her head stayed straight. And I was thinking to myself, I bet I used to look like that all the time, whenever I would get drunk, because it looked ridiculous. And man, I'm glad that I don't have to deal with that anymore and, look like that anymore. It's just crazy when we get sober, and then when you see other people that are intoxicated and think that we used to look like that, or that's how we used to act, because there were a lot of people intoxicated last night. And I've been talking this week about that I've had cravings and all that kind of stuff. Man, last night when we were there and I saw all those people that were drunk, and then that guy started causing all those problems, bumped into the back of my van, tried to get into a fight with me. It just really made me realize why I do not want to mess around with that stuff anymore. It totally dissipated any cravings that I was having. I can honestly say that today, absolutely none. It hasn't crossed my mind one time today. So I think it might have been a good thing for me to go out there and see that yesterday, just to get that reminder and go, I do not want to act like that. I don't want to be around that kind of stuff anymore. I just don't want to be in that scene. That's not my life any longer. I much prefer going to places where there's not alcohol. And the thing is out there, it's not like they were serving alcohol over the place, but people were bringing their own booze. I really didn't think about it before we went there yesterday, because it's more like a family thing. I didn't think this was going to be some big event where people were just getting wasted, but it was. And there were people drinking all over the place, open containers. The police were out there. Nobody said a word, so I guess it's totally okay. But the thing is, this is like a family fireworks thing. And there's people out there just getting, housed out there. And it's like, I don't know. From now on, any of that kind of stuff, I'm really going to have to do my research and see if there's going to be alcohol being served there. And it's not like, my thing is, it's not that I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get triggered. I just don't want to be around it. It's just not my life. I don't want my children seeing that kind of activity going on. And, and like I said, I've got this guy, just because I didn't let him in. After so many cars had gotten let in before he got up there. And the thing is that, tons of cars had gotten let in. He just got upset with me because I didn't let him in. And it's like, at some point, we have to go, because this line is not moving. And like I said, my blood sugar was low. I needed to go. And he just freaked out on me. And would he have done that if he wasn't intoxicated? He probably wouldn't have. But that could have really turned into a really bad situation last night. And if I was intoxicated, that probably would have really turned out bad. Because when I was a drinker, I was a hothead. And if that guy had been screaming at me and I was drunk, I probably would have gotten out of the car, and who knows what would have happened. I might have went and pulled him out of his vehicle. And I'm just being dead serious, guys. That's the kind of stuff I would have done back then. I didn't put up with that kind of stuff. My temper was so short. But now, being sober and being logical, and thinking to myself in advance, going, okay, here's how this is going to play out if I was to do something. I'm just going to go ahead and let this thing fizzle out and just go. I looked at the back of my van. There wasn't any damage. Okay, so let's leave before this turns into something really bad, and my kids have to see this happen. And I just didn't want that to go down. And I'm glad that I didn't. And I'm glad that I was sober last night, because it helped me avoid from having some kind of bad situation occur. And I can think back to so many times when I was a drinker that I made really bad decisions because I was, one, intoxicated, and then two, my temper would be so short back then. I didn't think before I acted, to where now, being sober, before I act, I think. And I really take a second to think out, okay, how's this going to turn out if I do X, Y, Z? And last night, I was like, okay. Now, I'm not going to say that was all my decision. Now, I wasn't going to get in a fight with this guy. That absolutely was not going to happen last night. But, like I said, I was about to call the police. It would have held the whole line up even more. And I just said, you know what? It's not that big of a deal. I just need to go ahead and go home. And my wife was screaming at me, let's go. And we left. And everything turned out okay. And we went to my buddy's house, hung out there for a little bit. And when we left my buddy's house last night, we were driving home, and it was pretty late. I think it was about 1 o'clock in the morning when we were on the way home. And And there were a lot of people on the road last night that were, you could tell, that were probably intoxicated. There was a car that was in front of us that kept weaving back and forth in the road. I stayed way back behind them. There was another car that was behind me that kept running off the road. There was another car, we were going around this curb, and they had like a curb on the side of the road. And this was actually right when we were leaving the fireworks place. I was behind this truck, and there's a curb on the side of the road. They ran their truck up onto the curb of the road. And I was telling my wife when I was driving, I said, look at that truck right in front of me. And they kept swerving over, and they'd swerve over again, they swerve over again. I said, that guy is clearly intoxicated. And I backed up off of him a little bit more because I didn't know what this guy was going to do. And I kept seeing him getting closer and closer to the curb. And I said, that guy's going to run up on that curb, watch. And sure enough, right before the road, because we were on a two-lane road. Well, one lane one way and one lane the other. But the road splits into a four-lane. And right before we split off into that four-lane, with two lanes going one way and two lanes going the other, he ran up on that curb. Right up, and he almost hit a mailbox when he did it, too. And I just watched it happen. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Especially on a night like last night. You got to be really careful out driving around because there are a lot of people that have been drinking on the road, and there's only but so much police, and they can't catch everybody. And it just had me really worried. And when I was driving home last night, I saw all these cars weaving around. I'm like, man, all these people are taking these big chances. Driving intoxicated right now. There could have been roadblocks last night. I would imagine there probably were. I didn't see any when we were on the way home last night. And we live way back in the country, and that's usually where the roadblocks are at. And I was pretty sure we were going to run into one, but we didn't. But those people could have gotten stopped on a roadblock. They could have gotten into a car accident. But the point of what I'm talking about today is that last night I just got a really rude awakening of alcohol and the problems that it causes in our society. None of that stuff probably would have happened last night if people hadn't been drinking. And the guy that was behind me that caused all those problems, that guy was clearly intoxicated. And he probably wouldn't have acted the way that he did if he wasn't drunk. And it just made me think about how I used to act when I was a drinker. You got all these people driving around on the roads that are intoxicated. That's why so many people get into fights when they're drunk. I did a story a while back, and I talked about violence and alcohol. And I think it was like 75% of all violent crimes have alcohol involved. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but I mean, it was a really high number. And I could think back when I used to drink, and all the times that I would do something, I would start getting angry, and where like if I was sober, I would get angry, and 5 minutes later I'd be fine. And I know how to control myself. Something might upset me, and I'll just step away for a few minutes, mind my own business, let myself cool off, and then come back to it. To where when I was a drinker, if something happened, I didn't think before I acted or said anything or did anything. I just reacted. That's all. That's what I did. And so many times that I would just snap on people, and so many times I almost got into fights with people, and just really stupid things that really could have changed my life completely for the worst. Who knows what might have happened? And like I said, last night, if I had been intoxicated and that guy had done that, who knows what might have happened last night? It could have changed the course of my life forever. I could have gotten out of my car, gotten into a fight with that guy, and then could have hurt him really bad, or he could have hurt me really bad. And who knows what might have occurred because of that? But because I was sober and had a clear mind, I was able to avoid that situation and just said, you know what, it's not worth this. I'm just going to go ahead and let this go, and I'm just going to go ahead and leave. And that's what I did. And I don't know, like I said, I saw a lot of alcohol-related stuff happen last night, and it wasn't good. it was just a really big reminder for me of why I don't want to drink anymore, why I don't want to be associated with that stuff anymore. Just watching those people when they were drunk, you know, that whole like looking off over here. I mean, 'cause seriously, like that one lady, like I was saying, like she was looking off like way over here, and the person was right in front of her, and she was just sitting there talking with her eyes looking around. I'm like, man. And I know I used to look like that all the time. People used to tell me that I had crazy eyes. That's what everybody used to say. They say that, you know, hey man, I saw you out downtown last night, man, and you had the crazy eyes, man. And I never quite understood what that meant. But now that I'm sober, and when I see people that have been drinking and I see that look in their face, I know exactly what's going on and what they meant back then. It's almost like looking into the eyes of like a shark or something. You can just tell that like their brain isn't there, that their consciousness isn't there anymore. And it's like the primordial aspect of the brain is all that's left. And that's just not a good thing to do. Not only, you know, can you get yourself in trouble and all kinds of stuff like that, but it's just embarrassing. I've talked about this before on here, but I've got a video on here, and at some point I'm gonna have to figure out how to block out. In the video, I'm sword fighting with one of my kids. This video is probably from about 5 years ago. It was either Christmas or Thanksgiving. I'm not exactly sure what day it was on. But it's in my Google Images. I've got a short video of me and one of my kids sword fighting with sticks, and I was completely trashed. We had gone to my parents' house. It was a holiday, and we had gone to my parents' house. We were back in the woods at my parents' house. I guess I had taken my kids on a walk. Somebody was recording me on my phone, and I was sword fighting with one of my kids, and man, the look on my face. I had that look that, like, there was nothing there. You could just see it in my eyes. I'm sitting there sword fighting with my kid, and I'm just kind of like staring off in outer space as I'm doing it. It's really embarrassing to go back and watch that. But at some point, if I can figure out how to blur my kid out, I'm just not that tech savvy. But I'm going to figure it out at some point so that I can blur him out and show you guys that video. For one, you can see how different that I looked back then, like how much bigger that I was, and in a video too, and it's not just a picture. But also the look that I had, how intoxicated that I was. It's embarrassing, but I'm willing to show it. I just have to figure out how to blur my son out of that video. I just don't want to share it with him in it. I'm just glad that I'm sober today. I'm glad for everybody here that's on this channel that's sober today. Yesterday was a huge reminder for me of why I don't want to drink anymore, why I'm sober today, and why I do not plan on ever going back to that ever again. That life is not for me. It's not for any of us anymore. Being sober and having a clear mind, being able to control our emotions to the best of our ability. You know, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't say control our emotions, but be able to control our reactions to our emotions. I've talked about this with my wife all the time, because I still get upset about things sometimes. But the difference is that what used to really upset me, and I would have these big reactions back then. The same things upset me to this day, but I just don't react that way anymore. You know, where before, if something happened, I'd been drinking and I got upset, I might break something, I would freak out, scream, you know, whatever. I would throw this huge temper tantrum. To now, 99.9% of the time, if I get upset, I walk away from the situation. Most of the time, if something like that happens, I walk outside and I will sit outside until I cool off. I will not go back inside the house until I am totally cooled off. Or I'll get in my car and I'll just go for a short drive and just drive around for a little bit until I calm down, because it's not worth the interaction that I'm going to have. I just don't want to go through that anymore. And it's all about how we react. I can't control the fact that my emotions take me down here or there. You know, if something upset me, it's going to upset me. But it's how I react. It's how we react to the problems in our lives. And it's so much easier to control our reactions when we're not intoxicated versus being intoxicated. Because I can think back to so many times when I was drinking, and how I remember thinking to myself that I can't control myself right now. But now I can. And it's so much better to live this way and to be able to control our reactions and not, you know, just jump into something if somebody screams at us or whatever, and next thing you know, we're in some kind of huge argument or getting in a fight with somebody or whatever it may be. I don't know. Like I said, it was a huge reminder last night. I wanted to talk about this with you guys today and just share it with you guys. And like I said, I hope everybody had a wonderful, sober 4th of July yesterday. I hope everybody had a chance to hang out with their family and spend some good family time. I hope that no one had any kind of bad situations last night, especially like what I dealt with. I hope nobody had anything like that happen. But once again, you know, we're still in 4th of July weekend. There's still going to be a lot of drinking going on this weekend. There's going to be a lot of parties. There's going to be people out at the lake or wherever, at the beach. There's just going to be a lot of drinking this weekend. There's going to be beer and alcohol advertised all over the place. Don't remember why you're sober. And don't forget why you're sober. And don't forget why you're here. It's just not worth it going back to that. There's this channel on here, and I've talked about this just recently. I think it's called Let's Talk. And the guy he had just relapsed, and he was talking about how his life was basically on autopilot since he had gotten sober. And I think he had said he had like 3 months sobriety or something like that. But he was, at the beginning of the video he's talking about is how he relapsed. And I spoke about this a couple weeks ago, but in the video, and he's a YouTuber as well, but in the video he's talking about, in the beginning, he's like, well, I relapsed. I had like 90 days under my belt, and my life was on autopilot, and it was so easy when I was sober. And now I've relapsed, and all these problems have come back. And man, that's just so true. You know, we take for granted how much easier our lives get when we get sober. And yeah, there's tough days where, you know, we think to ourselves, man, a drink for sure would be nice right now to relieve the stress or whatever. But it's not going to solve anything. If anything it's going to do is create more problems. We're going to feel guilty, shameful, all kinds of stuff that's going to be associated with that. And just don't forget why you're sober. And if you haven't done what I was talking about the other day, write yourself a list and put it on your phone of all the reasons that you want to stay sober. And, you know, take a look at that. Somebody was on here the other day. I'm about to get off of here too, by the way, guys. We're at 33 minutes. But the other day, I was replying to the comments, and one of the subscribers said that they took an image of a CT scan of their belly. I don't remember what they said that they had a CT scan for, but they obviously must have had something wrong with their pancreas or liver or something like that. But they took that CT scan image and they screenshotted it, and they set it as their wallpaper on their phone. And every time they open their phone up, they look at that, and it's a reminder to them every single time they open their phone of why they're sober from that scan. And I was like, man, that is a great idea. And I plan on doing something very similar to that. Right now, I have an image of my family saved as my wallpaper. Every single time that I open my phone up, I see a picture of my family. And it's a reminder of why I'm sober, because I want to be here for them. And every time I open my phone, I see my family there. And it's a, you know, how many times I have a flip phone, so every time I open it up, I see that image of my family. And it's a constant reminder while I'm here. How many times do we get on our phone every day? A lot. And every time I see that, it reminds me of why I'm here, why I'm sober, and my goals in life, you know, to try to stay as healthy as possible and to be here as long as I can for my wife and for my kids. Because I want to spend as much time with them as I can. I wasted enough time messing around with alcohol, and that's what I did. I wasted time doing that, and I just don't want to go back to that ever again. This sober life is so much better. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really do appreciate it. And like I said, it's just something that happened last night, and I just wanted to share it because the alcohol, it caused a lot of problems last night, and I saw a lot of intoxicated people, and we just don't want to go back to that anymore. We really don't. Remember why you're here. Remember why you're sober. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day today. And by the way, live video will be tomorrow. I'm going to do the live in the morning tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and plan on doing the live at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, and I'll go ahead and set that up on the channel. So there will be a reminder there to let you guys know. I'll set that up either today or tomorrow morning. But I'd love to see you guys there tomorrow. I know it's 4th of July weekend, so probably not everybody can join in. But for anybody that would like to come in there tomorrow, I'd love to see you. We'll probably hang out for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, somewhere around there. Let's have a nice conversation tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. The lives are always a lot of fun, and people start having conversations in the chats, and you know, it's basically a Q&A. You can ask me anything, and any topics or anything that you guys want to talk about, I'm open to it, and we can go ahead and discuss them. And it's an opportunity for you guys to ask me anything, and it's live, and I'll be more than happy to answer. And if it's something I'm not comfortable talking about, I'm just going to say I just don't want to talk about that. But for the most part, I'm open to anything. So looking forward to tomorrow. Hope to see as many of you there as possible. And once again, that's going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that said, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in tomorrow's live. Y'all have a great day.